Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to welcome Laura Bramnick from TalkRealEstateAZ.com. TalkRealEstateAZ.com. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Sinclair.
Laura is an attorney and she is also a real estate agent. She's also a consumer advocate. She helps people negotiate real estate and commercial and residential and land transactions. She is a certified instructor with the Arizona Department of Real Estate, has an active Arizona real estate license, and is licensed through the State Bar of Arizona, and she specializes in real estate. For more information, you can contact Laura if you have a question, 480-624-2705, 480-624-2705, and the website is talkrealestateaz.com. You can even hear some of our interviews that are archived at the website.
Yes.
You could go and listen to last week's interview where we talked about negotiating.
Yes.
And when there is a breach of a contract, that's when you really need someone to help you negotiate.
Yeah, negotiating is a skill and it's kind of an art form, and each negotiation's a little different.
Are there things we can do to prevent a breach or to better position ourselves to where if something goes wrong, we will have an upper hand at that point?
Well, certainly preparation is key. You know, when you originally negotiate the deal, if it goes bad, it's so much easier to have the out clauses or the damages clauses when you initially negotiate it than when it's fallen apart. But also timing is a big issue. In other words, some negotiations settle quickly. You might get a better deal if you jump in quickly, and others you kind of have to sit on the sidelines and wait it out a little bit. And we've talked in the past about how I negotiate a lot with lenders on underwater property or second mortgage debt. And it has been much more successful for me to wait them out, even though many of my clients are anxious to get it over with.
Sure, I imagine.
But for some reason, it seems that the waiting has benefited most of the clients I've negotiated for in terms of the underwater properties and the second mortgage debt. So, you really have to know who you're negotiating against. If you can, you don't always know that. And the other thing is that you can't treat every single thing in life as a potential breach. It's very hard to go around and cross your T's and dot your I's in preparation for a potential lawsuit in every negotiation that you do.
Sure, you think about it, you don't keep a receipt on everything you have just in case something goes wrong with the purchase. Your records may not be perfect, but I think one of the key things that we've tried to emphasize over our conversations over the years is it really does make a difference to have an attorney that can represent you in the initial phase, because you know where there are potential for problems.
Right, and real estate is usually a very big investment for someone.
Sure.
That is not something to take lightly. So in that case, when you're purchasing or selling real estate, you definitely want to have all of your ducks in a row. You want to confirm things in writing. You want to make sure things are clear in the contract. You want to anticipate certain roadblocks. That is the type of transaction that you want to put the time and effort into being somewhat defensive from the beginning.
What types of negotiations do you do?
Well, most of them relate to real estate, but not all. I do negotiate some debt, credit card debt, second mortgage debt, HOA fees, and a lot of times breach of contract, buyer or seller will cancel, but they don't really have a valid legal reason to do so. Also, there may be a lack of disclosure on the part of a seller. Maybe my buyers moved into the house and they discover mold or water damage or something pretty major, and it's going to cost them a lot of money to fix it. And so then you want to go back to the seller to have them, you know, kind of come up with the damages that my buyer thinks they're owed. Also, people can argue over lot lines and encroachments, fences.
Sure.
You know, it's very, very common in real estate to have multiple issues of conflict with neighbors and with HOAs and those types of things.
I'm thinking of conflict here, and I'm also thinking of real estate, and that brings me to the idea of divorce and inheritance.
Oh yeah, because most married people have a home, and many have more than one.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not be just residential property. It may be land, it may be commercial building, it may be an office condo, and all of those properties need to be dealt with in some way, and that is all part of the negotiation.
And need to be dealt with uniquely and individually.
Yeah, you know, some of them may be underwater. We've just come out of a very bad market, real estate market crisis.
But not all real estate has gone back to the peak. So.
No, and you know, that's an additional factor. If somebody wants to keep a property, you got to make sure that you know if there's equity, and if there's not, who's going to be responsible for paying if it's underwater. And then you have financial ties on the mortgage. There's all kinds of issues that have to be negotiated, not just who gets it.
You told me last week that, well, first of all, the courts require the parties to try to settle.
Yes.
So I'm sure a lot of what you do is trying to get people to settle.
Yeah, and the best way to do that is to be prepared, to make sure that you have all the information that your client has available or can get it. And it does take time, you know, and that does add to the expense, but if you do your homework ahead of time and you are prepared for the negotiation, it still costs less than litigation.
Yeah. Well, just like defensive driving, you want to
Yes.
put your seatbelt on before
Yes.
you enter into any real estate transaction. Good idea to talk to Laura Bramnick. Make sure that everything is buckled in so that you can avoid the problems. But if you are looking at a real estate situation and there are problems, you can also contact Laura to help you with the negotiations and hopefully find a bit of common ground.
Yeah, you know, people who inherit properties may know nothing about them.
Sure.
And you really need someone who knows what to do and how to untangle the mess.
And that's Laura Bramnick at talkrealestateaz.com. That's her website, talkrealestateaz.com, or call 480-624-2705, 480-624-2705. Laura, important information. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Sinclair.